All right. I'd like to take credit for the next speaker, Miochael Gu. He was in my, give it up for Miochael Gu. Michael was actually in my calc class. He did a lot better than I did. Those of you who know Michael would understand. But Michael is going to speak, and his title of the presentation is Faces of Marijuana. And some of his talents, hidden talents, are pen spinning, and where you can find him on campus, in the pit, breakdancing. And his ultimate goal in life is to debate Nancy Grace. So give it up. Give it up for Miochael Gu.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Michael, and today I'd like to talk to you about the plant marijuana. So raise your hand if you've ever heard of somebody who uses marijuana. Don't be shy. So raise your hand again if you've ever heard that marijuana cures cancer. Well, like many of you in high school, I knew people that used marijuana, and I had heard of the term medical marijuana before too, but I thought that was simply an excuse to get high. But that all changed after the summer of my junior year when I worked at MD Anderson Cancer Center. And it was there working in a lab that I met international researchers, those from Spain, who were incredibly passionate about cannabinoids, the molecules associated with marijuana. And their focus was on how marijuana can treat tumors. And I was so astounded by this and so surprised that I did my own research. And here's what I found. Marijuana essentially works by activating a system called the endocannabinoid system, which is a system of receptors found throughout our body. The primary receptors being CB1, which is concentrated in our central nervous system in our brain, and CB2, which is concentrated in our liver, our spleen, and white blood cells. And the interesting part about the system is that every single one of us has an endocannabinoid system, whether or not you use marijuana. And so our body manufactures the system of receptors. But why? And this is best explained by Dr. Jeffrey Hergenrather, who is a physician in Colorado that prescribes medical marijuana to thousands of patients every year. And he explains that the endocannabinoid system essentially helps to regulate our homeostasis, which is our body's process of maintaining stability. And essentially, unlike many toxic drugs, if you do too many toxic drugs, it takes you away from homeostasis. And if you do too much, you can overdose and die. If you drink too much water, you could even die. But marijuana is unique in the fact that if you do too much, not only do you not die, but it brings you closer to homeostasis. You feel more relaxed, more at peace, more at ease, and hungry. But the most surprising part about this is that our federal government in 2003 actually studied cannabinoids, and they found that they would have extreme potential to serve as neuroprotectants and help fight against Parkinson's as well as Alzheimer's disease. And they even patented their findings. And you can find this patent even on Google. And so the next logical question, therefore, is why is marijuana a Schedule I drug? And to answer this, we have to go back to 1970, when Congress passed the Controlled Substances Act, which placed marijuana in the most severe schedule, along with cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, etc. And at the time, a lot of people disagreed with this. And President Nixon himself even acknowledged that marijuana did not belong in this group. However, when you revisit the Nixon tapes, what you'll find is that President Nixon deliberately tries to blur the lines between marijuana and other harder, more potentially dangerous drugs. And in fact, because at the time and still now, marijuana is one of the most widely used drugs in America, in order to create a full-fledged war on drugs that President Nixon wanted and continues today, marijuana had to be a government target. And even 45 years later, this policy still has profoundly negative effects on patients who use cannabis. Patients like Charlotte Figge, an 8-year-old who suffers from Dravet syndrome, a severe form of epilepsy that gives her hundreds of seizures a day. When her parents exhausted all pharmaceutical options, they finally tried cannabis oil. And since then, that reduced her seizure count from hundreds a day down to a mere few, allowing Charlotte to live a happy, healthy 9-year-old life. And there are patients like Michaela, who was diagnosed with lymphoblastic leukemia. And after chemo and radiation failed, her doctors gave up on her. But her parents persisted, and when they tried cannabis oil, a few months later, she was in remission. And she's been in remission ever since. And this is the narrative of thousands of patients across the world in networks such as the Cannabis Patient Network. And in these networks, all these people have the same sort of story, that they've tried all pharmaceuticals and it doesn't work. And so at the end of the day, who are we to judge Charlotte or to judge Michaela or the thousands of patients who use marijuana and gain a second chance at life? Who are we to label them as criminals under a misinformed and hypocritical law? Who are we? Well, we are the people that can change this. We are the people that have the potential to ensure that the patients, that the people are at the heart of this issue. We are the generation that can ensure a true end to marijuana prohibition and a true end to the disconnect between patients and their medicine. Because it is with compassion and understanding that we can reassemble society's perception through the faces of marijuana. Thank you.